Welcome, everyone, to episode 221 of Rush Roundtable, where we will discuss the song Carve Away the Stone from the Test for Echo album, which is, by the way, brought to you by the letter R. So I'd like to introduce our panel today. We have two Pauls, Paul Simon and Paul Cormier, and we have Tyler Stockton with us. So welcome, gentlemen. And if you enjoy our content, please subscribe to our channel or tip us on Ko-fi via the link in the description. Also, check out our sponsors. They help so much via the links in the video description. They make all of this possible, so definitely check them out. And now, let us dive into Carve Away the Stone. So, fun fact, on the CD, right underneath all the lyrics, it says, if you want something done right, just forget it. So I think that could make a fun basis for our discussion. We can all maybe interpret what on earth does that mean. But the song then starts out with some power chords from the great King Lurkst and then into our first verse. So gentlemen, what say you about this song?
Good closer, in my opinion. That strong intro start that's very like anthemic. It's, Alice cranks it out and then getting Neil join in. I just love the way it starts. It's another one of those closers that, thanks to our very own Tal posting on Instagram, I realized that long list of closers they didn't play live. So
yeah, that's right.
Didn't notice that.
Well, I just learned something. I didn't realize that I had never played this live.
And I'm not sure why, because I think it's doable, unlike some songs that would require, every band member to have 4 arms. This one, I think, would have been doable live. I'm not sure why they didn't play it. Any guesses there?
Well, I don't think they played, like, if they'd go on tour for an album, I don't think they played every single song on the album, especially towards the later years.
Yeah, 4 or 5 off this one, I think.
Yeah.
They only played 4 or 5?
This was the tour I saw them on. They were not playing this. I think that was in Portland, so we went because they're playing 2112 all the way through. It was like, but it's like, of course it's Rush too, but it's like, here's this extra added feature. But they played some Test for Echo, but they played just the singles. They didn't play anything, they didn't play Dog Years.
No.
Doggone it. But there was a bunch of stuff that they probably could have snuck in. But it's like, I think at that point, it's like you got a huge discography you got to pick from. It's like something's got to. You might have some great songs in there. Oh, this would be cool to play, but it's like, man, there's only so much time in a night. So they were probably budgeting.
One thing about promoting an album, you wanted to play like the bigger songs and probably the more well-known ones to promote it, but you're not going to play the whole entire album, right? Like, I can't imagine. I think we talked about this last week on Limbo. Same thing. They didn't, But
yeah. So
I like the I'm sorry, the intro, like I said, this Alex's powerful, like what'd you call them, power chords, and then just Geddy singing just like by itself over top of it. It's just kind of like, it's a weird feel to it, but it kind of, and then Neil kicks in for fun. For fun.
It's always fun though.
I love it. Yeah,
I think for me, when I signed up for this one, I signed up for the song ones just because, and I was like, everybody's going to want to jump on, like for this album in particular, they're going to jump on like for the Test for Echo, they're going to jump in for Driven, Resist, the big stuff, the big tunes. And I was like, I need to get into something that's a little bit off the beaten path. That's why I chose this song, because it's like, this is the reason why I chose this one to talk about is because when I think of Test for Echo, I slept on that album. And I'm going to be honest. When it came out, I slept on it, and that's just me being honest. I got right back in for different the live album after that. I went right headfirst back in. But when I think of this album, the cover. I always think of the cover, and I always hear this song in my head. So while this one is not a single, it's hooky. It's simple. And it's very hooky though.
That's so true. And it's funny you say that, Tyler, because I kind of signed up for it for the same reason. I'm that Rush fan that loves the whole catalog from A to Z. And so whenever there's songs that maybe don't get as much love as like the big hits, I'm always signing up for those because it's like, hey, this is a great song, it's catchy, it's got a beautiful guitar solo, which we'll talk about in a minute, and it's got interesting lyrics. So let's dive into that a little bit. So the first verse reads, "You can roll that stone to the top of the hill, drag your ball and chain behind you. You can carry that weight with an iron will, or let the pain remain behind you." Man, there is a lot going on in there. What are y'all thinking?
It's all about, this is the self. I'm the lyrics person, and the point of view here is, you can do this, you can do that. It's all about, okay, it's all on you. Because we'll get into who Sisyphus is in a moment, but with the task that Sisyphus had to do and what the narrator is explaining situationally, this is going to be self, nobody else involved, isolated. So
yeah, it's interesting too that I think he kind of flips it around, because he says you can carry that weight with an iron will, or let the pain remain behind you. It's almost like you expect that to be reversed, to say you can let the pain or let the weight remain behind you, but he's saying you can carry it with an iron will. I find that juxtaposition odd.
push, pull, you can do it this way, you can do it that way,
exactly,
but it's all on you.
Yeah. Any other comments on that first verse?
I'd never paid attention to the lyrics before, ever, prior to doing this. It's one of those things where it's like you get more into the song than you actually get into the words. But Neil's lyrics are, for especially the latter half of their career, and were really about what it means to be human in general. And everybody's got burdens, everybody's got problems, everybody's got pain, everybody's got sorrows, and it's all about how you cope with that or manage that. So, carry that weight with an iron will, which some people do. They just power through no matter what, or they can just let all that go. And some people are very easy with like dispensing with their burdens, but then some people just carry on without saying a word.
That's an interesting interpretation. Yeah, whether you internalize it or externalize it, whether you swallow it and just carry on, or
Right.
Yeah, well said.
Would you think, Paul, that Neil's lyrics style or his themes changed around Presto towards the human condition?
I'd go farther back than that.
To like what, Power Windows, maybe?
Power Windows. Yeah.
Power Windows, Grace Under Pressure, even, because that was all about external stimuli, but how we internalize it and how we face it. And then Power Windows became about the struggle, the power.
So controversial take, the post Terry Brown years. Oh, zing! All right, no, I get it. No, but like I said, but it's not a hidden fact that they would constantly look to improve and change. So I mean, it was normal that Neil would, as he was reading, and make these changes. And I just thought, yeah, you could see it to Grace Under Pressure. Yeah, I could see that with that change in dynamics, and the lyrics would change. Yeah. Okay.
For sure. So the chorus reads, "Chip away the stone, Sisyphus, chip away the stone, make the burden lighter if you must roll that rock alone. Chip away the stone, chip away the stone, make the burden lighter if you must roll that rock alone." So, Paul, tell us a little bit about your interpretation of that chorus, Paul Simon.
Sisyphus. Okay, so for those who don't know, Sisyphus was the king of Corinth, and his burden in the afterlife, because he really angered the gods significantly back in ancient Greece, his burden was to roll a stone up a large hill, and every time he almost made it to the top, it would roll back down again. So the eternal struggle, like we've already begun talking about, of these laborious and futile gestures as you go through life, or in his case, the afterlife. His afterlife was doomed to be repeated as laborious and futile. So what we're going to see is, between chip away the stone, carve away the stone, roll away the stone, are three different ways to approach it. So since our first verse started off with the self, and this is, chip away the stone, that's the most meticulous. It's going to take the longest time. You're chipping away at it. That's one way to do it. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to change the fact that it's going to roll back down, and you got to start over again. So that if something is described as Sisyphean, then that would be it. And the one modern example I'm going to throw out there, spoiler warning for John Wick 4, I'll keep it mild, is the staircase scene at the end. Since there's so much theological symbolism in those films, that is 100% a Sisyphean labor, is the staircase scene towards the end. I'll leave it at that without spoiling anything else. But the constant repetition of something and it proving futile.
That's really interesting. And I like, Paul, what you said too about this first part being about the self, because you yourself are chipping away the stone. And he's saying you make the burden lighter if you have to roll that rock alone. If you're the only one rolling it up the hill, then you might as well do everything in your power to make it better for yourself. So it kind of almost harkens back to free will a little bit for me, that you're still choosing to roll it. It's still on you, but you can do something, even if you have no choice but to keep rolling it up the hill because it was your punishment. You can still do something to make it better, which is chipping away at it a little at a time.
Yeah, some people are very prompted to, they don't like to share their inner stuff. And so a lot of people, I mean, ultimately, when it comes to problems and burdens and pain and how you feel about yourself and what's going on in your head, sometimes the best work you can do is the work that you do on your own. So yeah, the rock will still roll over you, and it still might not hurt quite as much, right? Because so that's just some mental health mumbo jumbo to throw out there from Monday.
It's a really good point.
It won't hurt as much because you've chipped away some of the stone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, really I'm out. Point. Peace out. That's my 2 cents worth. No, sorry, can't help it.
All good, man. Yeah, I think that's a really good point about it's if you can look within, and then he kind of talks about that a little bit in the next chorus, right? That carve away the stone. So to Paul Simon's point, carve away the stone, make a graven image with some features of your own. This is like my favorite line in the song. What do you guys think that means? What does it mean to you?
Make it yours.
Yeah.
Make it yours.
Yeah.
And make a graven image, make a firm image.
Yeah.
We're nodding back to the aesthetics again, like we did with Resist. Oscar Wilde was an aestheticist. So as long as it's beautiful, at least you've done something. And if you carve something away, you're carving more out of it than if you chip away.
That's a good point. And even though again, like your punishment is to keep rolling this same rock over and over, but you can at least make it your own by, you carve these images into it with the features that you decide. So again, it comes back to free will for me, that you can, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Maybe you didn't decide you have to roll this rock over and over, but you're still going to make it yours. It's still going to be a choice in the end. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. There's a lot going on in this song. And then we come to this gorgeous guitar solo.
Actually,
did we want to say anything?
Don't want to interrupt, but I think we skipped a verse.
We missed a verse. You can drive those wheels to the end.
Oh, yes. Okay,
sorry,
my bad. Yeah, I got too excited about the make a graven image line. Okay, you can drive those wheels to the end of the road. You will still find the past right behind you. Try to deny the weight of the load. Try to put the sins of the past night behind you. What's going on there for you guys?
Again, futile. You can run away from it. You can. Okay, before we talk about iron will, where it's on the self to actually do something about it. Now you can try and deny it, put it behind you. You still are going to have to go through the same labors, the same tasks. It's still going to have to go up the hill. It's still going to come back down again. So different approach, same result.
Yeah.
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 Now he says you'll still find the past right behind you. Like it kind of reminds me of that phrase, you can't run away from yourself.
Yeah, there's a for anybody that's familiar with like AA literature or anything like that, one of the things they talk about is like, we do not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. It's basically kind of the same, you can go as far forward as you want, but you are always going to be you. no matter what.
Yeah.
Um, and so that past is always going to be there. But like for people in recovery, that's the past is part of the deal. Um, you have to acknowledge that it's there in order to carve it into, carve into it to make it what you want it to be.
Mm.
And
Even
that
if
would be a
it,
graven image because it's fixed. I like that.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a great analogy.
Mm.
And he's tying in the imagery of the stone with the wheels. You can drive those wheels to the end of the road. It's kind of that same circle going over and over again.
Yep.
But no matter what, you still look right behind you, and there's your past. You can't
yeah,
escape it.
yeah.
Any other comments on that verse?
Take us to the solo. You were saying?
Oh, this solo to me is so gorgeous because the guitar in the verses is rather quiet. It's just he's providing the backdrop for these intense lyrics. But then all of a sudden, when the solo comes, it's almost like Alex just bursts onto the scene, like, hey, I'm here. And it's this classic Lurks soaring, beautiful solo. It kind of reminds me of the end solo in Mission from the Show of Hands version. It's that same tone that just soars.
Yeah.
I love that.
I
What do
love
y'all
it. 'Cause
think?
it's not his soloing is he's my favorite, just because he's got so many phases of his playing. And I think in the 90s is where he started getting into, it's about tone, it's about the quality of the notes, it's not about speed, it's not about flash. Um, and that was another one where it's like, I need to key in on that solo today. So I was listening to the song a couple times. I was like, it's simple, direct, to the point, doesn't overstay its welcome, and it's in and it's out, and it's just great all the way
It
through.
is.
I know Paul and I have talked about this several times in past episodes where it's an Alex Lifeson solo that fits the song perfectly.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not, like you said, Tyler, it's not flashy. It's not about speed. It's just about complementing the song. And he always seems to find that right way to do it.
Mhm.
There was a time early in his career, could he shred? Oh, of course he could, but as the years went by, his playing evolved, and it's
Mhm.
just like in the 80s, he got into like more the rhythm kind of stuff and the more the filler, but the solos were still just beautifully
Yeah,
composed, just fit the song perfect.
his solos are the 80s were very abstract. They're very like they got a very abstract construction, a lot of whammy bar, a lot of just a lot of extra stuff, and still shredding, but it's like it's almost kind of fractured sounding, in a way, because it's kind of like they're very abstract solos. But by the 90s, I think he kind of smoothed some of that out, where it's still abstract, but it's like he's just all about the note quality. Just
Mm.
sometimes you got to hang on to a note for just a little bit longer, just to kind of get the point. And it's almost, he's very matter of factly when he comes in with the part. I just really love that solo a lot. Now
Same.
so after we're done with this, I'm gonna listen to it again because it's like
Yeah.
it's that good.
It is that good. But it's so him. I mean, like Paul, you just said that he not only does he come up with things that fit the song, but things that you would never think of. Like he's so creative. And when I heard both the verse guitar and the solo, it kind of reminded me of Distant Early Warning in a way, because the most incredible stuff that Alex is doing in that song is going on under the verses, under what Geddy is singing. When he's singing Cruising Under Your Radar, if you listen to what he's doing underneath, it's just genius. It
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
so creative and inventive. And it's like, who on earth, how does he think of these things? And it's kind of the same here, that
Hmm.
it's simple, but yet it's deceptively not so simple, because it's simple because he thought of it. But I think
Yeah.
a lot of other guitarists would not have brought what he brought to the table in this tune, uh, or any other for that matter. He's my favorite musician of all time ever.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we could go on and on about Alex all day, and we will. But the next verse reads, you can roll that stone to the top of the hill. You can carry that weight with an iron will. You can drive those wheels to the end of the road. You can try to deny the weight of the load. So that's coming back to the two prior themes from before. And then the final chorus, roll away the stone, roll away the stone. If you could just move yours, I could get working on my own. What are your thoughts?
Okay, for starters, before I forget, because I meant to mention it earlier, if you own the 2015 remaster, you do not hear the understated Sisyphus underneath each chorus. They removed it in the remaster.
What? I don't
Yes.
have the remaster. I have the original, but I can't believe that. That's like so key.
Jump
Why
on
would they do
YouTube
that?
and make sure it's the remaster you're listening to. It's gone. They never supply. There's a list of out there that someone compiled, and there's a bunch off Hold Your Fire that changed as well. A couple things. Dog Years changed duration on the remaster for some reason. Longer fade, I believe. But yeah, that Sisyphus line is removed. But going back to the actual breakdown of it, this is a summation now. He's summing up. Here's the different ways we've talked about. You can roll that stone to the top of the hill, self-will. You can carry that weight with an iron will. You can drive those wheels to the end of the road. That's the external. You can try to deny the weight of the load. We're in denial. And then going into now we're at roll away the stone. We've done chip, we've done carve. Now this is roll. This is work smarter, not harder. Here's the solution for the day, because again, it will always repeat that cycle. But notice where I love this. If you could just move yours, I could get working on my own.
Yeah.
So in other words, we've found the solution, rolling it away, and now somebody else's thing is getting in the way. So I always found that interesting. And it plays up to the theme of Test for Echo that we've talked about all along with all these songs, is there anybody out there, that connectivity and that communication? It's this entire song's been I, or you have to do this, you have to do that. Individual, isolated. Now that we've opened it up, we find out we're all having this labor. We're all going through this futility, but at least we're in it together. And then when the layered vocals come in, that kind of populates that space. That's how I hear it, at least. So now we've got Getty's lyrics, layering, and then even the playing. I got my copy of Work in Progress, and I was looking over too many notes to bother going into, and I'm not a drummer, so a lot of stuff would sound half done. But Neil did say in his analysis of Carve Away the Stone that he approached the three different ways of doing it, the three choruses, chip away, carve away, and roll away, differently to show the different ways of approaching it. And he explains how he uses the drums to do that. I won't butcher that here. But he said in the end, at the song, he wanted to finish on a positive note. So what he does is he does this big dramatic, his last one he said is the concluding line. It punches up what he's playing, and then he goes underneath to support the vocals. And Vicki, going back to what you said earlier about Alex's playing, they actually all come together and support each other musically for this end of this song. So that's the point I take out of it. I mean, Neil said on Work in Progress, he wanted to end this positively. And when you think about something like this laborious task that's futile, it's not something you'd call a high note, so to speak. So to want to end it musically in harmony with each other, that kind of speaks to me a bit. So that's my take on it.
I hadn't even thought of it that way, because you're right. The solo, I think the guitar solo, if I'm remembering correctly, is in a minor key, and then by the end it's all major. It's all, feeling almost like happy.
And then our arpeggiated line we
together.
talked about is there too, repeating itself. We talked about it off camera, but in each chorus there's an arpeggiated line. We weren't sure if it was guitar or keyboards. We kind of settled on we believe it's guitar, but we're not sure. So comment, feel free, correct us or help us figure that out. But that repetitious line, again, fitting the theme of the song, even that's interwoven in. And then, like I said, Neil comes underneath to support Getty's final vocals, and then all three of them are playing together.
Yeah. Well said.
I love it. Neil, a lot of his lyrics are about pairs or like relationships between people, whether that's man and woman or what friendships or whatever. And I think in this instance, if you could just move yours, I could get working on my own. And I think in that situation, when people are relating to each other, sometimes we want to try to be a help to somebody else. And at that point, when we're trying to help somebody else, we're not helping ourselves. But it's almost like I know if I could just get you to like move yours, I could start working on mine. I could work, because we sometimes tend to put the spotlight on somebody else rather than putting it on our own self. But I think I could get working on my own, is like, and that kind of ties in with the positivity, because some people, they're so in such a dark place, they can't think about what they could do, because they're not thinking about what's possible. But I think sometimes we just got to take the spotlight off of the other person, and we got to do it goes right back to doing our own work.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to healing or any sort of pain or trauma or mental health issues or crisis or anything like that.
Can't give away something you don't have, so you have to work on your own first so that you have something to give away.
Yeah.
Or so I've heard.
Yeah, you can't give what you don't have. And the whole oxygen mask analogy, you have to put your own on first, and before you can even try to help the person next to you.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So if you come out of the denial, like he's talking about in the prior chorus, if you are able to do that, that's your work, is to come out of denial, be real with it, understand the load, understand your role in it, and then get working on your own.
If you can try, I can try.
Yeah. Oh, even better.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That is a great note to end on, I think. Anyone else want to comment on anything else about this fantastic song?
Are any of you familiar with Guided by Voices?
Yeah.
I would love to hear them do a cover of this song.
Oh, wow.
I
That
think
would be fantastic.
I think they would do a really great job, because they start a lot of their songs the same way as this one, where it's just guitar and vocals. We're gonna come right in, and then the big stuff comes in.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that. I was like, man, I would sure love to hear them do that.
What a cool idea. Well, if anyone from that band is listening, we have a great idea for a cover for you.
Yeah.
But thank you so much to Paul Simon, Paul Cormier, Tyler Stockton, and I'm Vicki Hudson. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. And for more great content, subscribe to our channel and support us on Ko-fi, or check out our merch shop. And until we meet again, rush on, everyone.